You went to court, the judge screwed everything up, made a horrible order, you hate what they decided, you totally disagree with it, it's not fair, and now you want to appeal it. So you just got the order in your family court case, and you feel like you got screwed. You feel like it was so unfair, the judge made mistakes, you want to appeal, you want another try at this. Well, let me tell you about the appeals case for family court cases in Georgia. A lot of people ask me, can I appeal a case if I don't like the decision? And the answer is yes and no. You cannot appeal the case just because you don't like the decision. That would be effectively getting a second bite at the apple. And you can't just appeal just because you don't like it, you're not happy with it, you feel like the judge screwed up. Okay, so why does the appeals court even exist? There are two reasons that you can appeal a family court case in the state of Georgia. The first reason is if the judge makes an error in applying the law to your case. The second reason is if the judge abuses their discretion in your case. Let's talk about the legal bases for appealing a case. The judge is responsible for applying the laws of the state of Georgia to your case. Now, law comes in two varieties. Law can come in the form of what's called codified book law from the official code of Georgia. You may have heard OCGA with some numbers after it. That refers to the laws that have been created by the legislature, put into the code book, if you will, and they are hard and fast laws, rules, if you will, for family court cases in the state of Georgia. The second type of law is what's called case law. Case law is laws that are created as a result of cases being appealed to either the appeals court of Georgia or the Supreme Court of Georgia, which is the highest level of court within the state of Georgia. There are rulings that are made in these courts that then become the law throughout the state of Georgia. That's called case law. So just remember that there are two types of law in Georgia for family court cases. The first being the Georgia Code, and the second being case law. So the judges are responsible for making sure that the decisions they make fit within either the code law or the case law. If a judge makes a decision in your family law case that either violates the code law or the case law, that can be a basis for appealing your case. The second basis for appeal in a family court case in Georgia is abuse of discretion. Judges have a very wide latitude in their ability to make decisions on cases within Georgia family court. The reason they have such wide latitude of discretion is because these are very, very personal issues, and the judge is sitting there listening to potentially hours or days or even weeks of trial testimony, seeing evidence, etc. So the courts give the judges a wide berth of discretion in how to make their decisions and what they can do in their decisions, as long as they're not violating the law. So the second basis by which you can appeal your case is if the judge abuses their discretion. So what does that mean, to abuse their discretion? Well, let's just talk about discretion first. Because the family court cases are so personal to people, to families, etc., the upper courts who could make the decisions on appeals, they give the trial judge at the lower court level a lot of width in what they can do in their variability in their determinations. So as long as a judge is not so far off to one side or the other side that they've clearly abused that amount of discretion that they have, the upper courts are not going to overrule them. Now, it's a lot easier for an appeal to be determined on the basis of an error in law, because you've got the law, it's either written down in the code or it's written down in the case law, and if the judge's decision violates either the code law or the case law, it's usually pretty cut and dry to be able to determine that. Much more so than if you're trying to get an appeal based upon abuse of discretion. So back to the issue of how can you appeal? Well, like I said earlier, you can't appeal just because you don't like the decision that the judge made. Lots of people don't like the decisions the judge made. It's very, very, very rare for both parties to like the decision that the judge made. Sometimes the parties hate certain parts of it but like certain parts of it, and so they just say, well, I won a little bit, I lost a little bit, I can live with it. Particularly if they feel that the other side won a little bit, lost a little bit, So getting a total win on one side or the other is extremely rare within a family court case in a trial. In order for a family court case to be appealed, there has to be a transcript. So one of the things you need to make sure is if you go to court yourself or you go to court with your attorney, make sure that you do what's called takedown. Takedown is the process of the court reporter capturing what's being said. Now in the old days you would see someone clicking away. Nowadays you may see somebody wearing a mask over their face, holding it over. It looks like they're breathing through it, and it's actually capturing every word that they're saying, and it's converting it into word for word text of what was said during that trial. So you want to make sure that you not only pay for the takedown, that capturing process, but you're going to need to order a copy of the transcript. And this is a complicated process, not a cheap process, but it can be done. You want to reach out to an attorney. This is not something you want to try and do yourself. Get a great attorney if you're going to file an appeal for your family court case. So you want to make sure that your case is being captured in the takedown process by the court reporter, and then you want to order your copy of your transcript. You have a very, very limited amount of time after the order is issued by the court in which you can appeal your case. So if you're thinking about appealing your case, get on it right away, right after you get your order from the court. Or if you think that if you come out of court and you're not going to have an order for a little while, but you think that you might need to have file an appeal, you may want to start thinking about talking to an attorney who files appeals and get them on board, or at least get them primed up to be ready and waiting for that order to come in, because the time period for filing the appeal is extremely short and you want to get that transcript ordered right away. Otherwise, you may be paying rush charges for the transcript. So once you've done all that, you go ahead and you file your appeal, and it gets appealed. At first, it gets appealed to the appeals court of the state of Georgia. And if the appeals court of the state of Georgia either makes a ruling in your favor or the other party's favor, and whoever was a loser on that appeal doesn't agree with that decision, guess what? It can then be appealed up to the Supreme Court of Georgia. So there are 3 court levels for family law cases. You've got the trial court, which is the Superior Court of Georgia. You then have the appeals court, which is the first place that you go to if you want to appeal the case. And then you have the Supreme Court of Georgia, which is the next level of appeal. So appeals can actually have 2 steps. So let's get back to what I started off with in this video, talking about you're unhappy with the way your case turned out and you want to file an appeal. By now, after a few minutes of watching this video, I'm hoping that you understand that the process for filing an appeal is not based on, well, I don't like the way the judge decided, but it actually is based on either an error of law, remember, case law or code law, or abuse of discretion. If the judge did something completely ridiculously outlandish, so much so that you think there is just no way that the next level up of the court process, the appeals court, would sanction that decision, then you can appeal on that basis. Now, you definitely want to be talking to an attorney before you file an appeal on either of these, because you want to make sure you're not throwing away a bunch of money. Plus, the appeals process, it's a complicated process. And you also want to get, particularly if you feel that they abuse their discretion, you definitely want to get the opinion of an experienced family court attorney to evaluate your case, to look at the transcript, to read through, to look at the decision, and to advise you as to whether or not it's even an appealable decision that they made. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Please go ahead and click like, subscribe, or whatever's appropriate for the platform on which you're watching this video. And go ahead and leave a comment for us. I love reading your comments. I either respond to them or I get ideas for creating new videos, follow-up videos. So I do pay attention to it all. Tell me if you agree with me. Tell me if you don't agree with me. Share your thoughts. All I ask, just keep it polite. And go ahead and join our Facebook group, Georgia Divorce and Custody. Join the discussion, ask some questions, give me some ideas on things you'd like to see me make videos about for future topics. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.